Welcome to my series about all Chopin's music. You are close to me today, and you know why. I want you to see the keyboard from a close-up and my hands, because today we focus on Prelude in G sharp minor, Opus 28 number 12, which I personally consider, and maybe other pianists too, the most difficult of all. This is so difficult. It's not a typical difficulty. It's a very sophisticated difficulty because, of course, it's difficult technically, musically, but also the stamina is very important. One has to have a very good technique without any tension, because otherwise we feel pain in the hand in the middle of the piece, so we cannot finish the piece. This is not a typical scale, and this is not a typical difficulty. That's why I put you closer. So hello, I can almost touch you, but anyway, seriously speaking, I can put you closer because I want to focus on the technique, on the difficulties, and I think it will be interesting both for musicians and pianists and for music lovers who never played the piano. Just for you to know how much we have to work. Every pianist, there are no exceptions here. I don't believe that there is some pianist who sits, reads the score and play it immediately. I mean, it's impossible. Of course, some pianist needs 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Some pianist needs 6 months to learn this. Some pianists will never play this because this is a very special kind of technique. I personally have huge difficulties to play this piece, even though I love it. And I will continue practicing because I'm still not fully satisfied with the effect. But anyway, for this video, I hope it is enough. Anyway, okay. Before we start, a few words from musicologists. Okay. I'm surprised because this book, I mean, this is a Hessig, Fernand Hessig. Of course, book is very old, but still, it was written. He says that this prelude is close to the form of old Viennese waltzes. Waltzes. I mean, he really mean it. I was, when I read this, I was looking, is it really about this prelude? Or maybe I made a mistake and, the page went from some other. Yes. Yes! Is it a waltz? Well, when we have the left hand, maybe we can find a waltz in this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But only when we play it slow. We cannot play it slow. Do you know what tempo is here? Unfortunately, presto, which means extremely fast. So Chopin has no mercy. Here he wants crazy, wild music. We have here some kind of run, escape. We are scared, I think. It's full of aggression and it's very wild. But anyway, Jabłczyński, I think I quoted his work before, his book. He wrote a book at the beginning of 20th century about all the 24 preludes. He's using very poetical language, and I like to quote what he writes because it's very beautiful. So I quote for you as well here. He writes, "At any rate, this is some wild dance, wild and crazy dance, which sometimes go faster, sometimes slower." Well, I don't see slower, but anyway, it's his interpretation. It's similar to the wind, and which move dry leaves, from the tree when we have autumn. The tree leaves the leaves, and they are on the floor. Then we have the wind, and this leaves are going like this. uh, yes, I think that's all. I think that's all what I wanted to tell you, because the latest, I mean, the description is just obvious, so I don't want to quote more. And now, a little surprise. This prelude was written actually in Mallorca. And I mean, so why surprise? Well, maybe not surprise, but for me it's a surprise because it's longer than all the other that Chopin wrote in Mallorca. So maybe he had more time. But anyway, of course, it's not very long, but still, it is longer than all the others. It has a kind of character of a ballad, even we can say, ballad in the meaning of, you know, the world, unrealistic world of the ballad, with something unreal, that we are scared, dark, something like that. But this character is, I think, obvious for everybody. We are shocked that Chopin could have written something like that. Because we normally think about Chopin, you know, as a man who writes something like the previous prelude. Salon composer. Well, of course it's not. But here we have Chopin who got, delicately speaking, angry, extremely angry, and this is some kind of battle. It's aggression. He's furious, I think. And now let's talk about the main topic tonight, the difficulties. First difficulty is in the left hand. The left hand has jumps, and we have octaves and we have chords. So, and we have black keys and white keys. So I play for you the left hand now, maybe without the pedal, and you will see that it is not easy, even the left hand alone. But left hand is easier than the right. Okay. Yes, this is the left hand. Let's play it again, even faster. Well, this one must learn before, I think, place hands together. Definitely. In this prelude, I strongly recommend everybody to learn each hand separately, because there are so many problems in each hand. There is no point in learning it together. Only when every hand seems easy, it's time to put them together. My advice for you who wants to play this piece. Now, right hand. Okay. Very interesting thing. In the right hand, Chopin uses the technique which we can find in Franz Liszt exercises. I don't know if you are familiar with Franz Liszt exercises for piano. He wrote a few huge, thick books about of exercises. And there is no music whatsoever in these exercises, and they are extremely hard. But he promised that when you practice them a lot, you will have a fantastic technique. Well, Chopin was very critical for any kind of such exercises, pure exercises without music. But here is Chopin, who is having fun of Liszt. He is writing a beautiful poem, a beautiful poem, based on the technique that we can find at the beginning, because this is one of the first exercises in Franz Liszt's book. The exercise of Franz Liszt sounds like this. And we have to play it with these two fingers, then with these two fingers, then with these two fingers, then with these two fingers, and also a few other a few other pair of fingers. I mean, if you are interested, this and this, then this and this, and then this and this as well. So there is quite a lot. Left hand and right hand. And now, I find this exercise quite useful. I used to practice it when I was much younger. And when I played all this exercise through, all the combination, oh, this was the word I was looking for, all the combination of fingers, I must tell you that after finishing, well, it took me some time, but after finishing, I felt like I'm warmed up, that like my fingers are worked better. So I can recommend, but maybe not the whole book, but these exercises. But anyway, now Chopin here makes something much more difficult, because if we were to use only these two fingers, this one and this one, then this prelude would be quite easy. I could play very fast without a problem, with a smile in my face, you know, and then it's fantastic, easy. No, we cannot do it, and there is no way to use these fingers. Why? And this is why you are so close, because I want you to see that. Because when we have this theme in the right hand, this I call it a staircase, you know, staircase. If we were to make a cartoon based on this music, I can see somebody running to the staircase up and then running down and running up and running down, and he's chased by some other bad character. But anyway, going back to the topic, when we have this staircase in the right hand, in this part of the right hand, unfortunately, because these two fingers, the most easy fingers to play this particular group and technique, have to play chords at the same time. How does it look? Look. So, impossible to play with easy fingers. Now, did Chopin made it on purpose? No, certainly not. It's not an etude. Well, maybe it should be an etude. I don't know, but it's not an etude. So Chopin didn't think of making a very difficult piece. It was not the goal. I think these chords, which are in the middle, are very important for the general impression of the piece, because they are actually together with the left hand, if you know what I mean. When we have you understand what I mean? This is the accompaniment for the staircase. So we can say that this prelude is written for three hands. The left hand, the chords in the right hand should be played with the second hand, and the third hand should play this. This is the main difficulty in this piece. And now, how we pianists practice? How to practice this? Well, first of all, of course, every hand separately, but this is not enough. I think we should practice only the staircase, the stairs. We should practice with the fingers that we are going to play later. So with these not easy fingers, the last three fingers. Like this. Then when we can play like this, then we should try to play right hand together with chords. It's very useful to practice very short parts in a fast tempo. Of course, I'm not talking now about slow practicing, because this is obvious. But how else? We can practice very fast three groups. Stop. And next one. Stop. 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 This is also the exercise. We can do it together with the left hand as well. Practicing in different rhythms, it's also very useful. Like, for Because you know what is also difficult in this? It's not a typical, it is a chromatic scale, but it's not a typical chromatic scale like in the etude, you know. In this etude, we have a different problem. It's a little similar, but different. Here, we have a chromatic scale, but it's built on the groups of two notes. 1, 2, next, 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 next. And now focus, because it's quite important. When we have, well, every second group of two notes, every second, starts from the same note which in the first group was the last one. Once again, every second group, I mean actually every group of two notes starts, every group of two notes starts from the same key that the previous group finished on. What does it mean? It means that we have a chromatic scale, but we also have something that we call repetition. We have to repeat the same key 2 times. And this is very difficult. This makes us tensed. And it's impossible, almost impossible to make legato, but we still have to make a legato. I don't know if you see, but here in Chopin writes a big legato sign, a slur, which means that this must be played legato. We cannot play it like a toccata. It's not what Chopin wanted. So all this makes this prelude simply unplayable. Impossible to play well. To play like Chopin wanted. Of course, I'm a little exaggerating now, but definitely for your information, we need to practice it a lot to have the kind of impression that Chopin wanted. So one more thing technical, and we proceed to the structure. I think it's worth to try to use a lot the wrist. The movement of the wrist helps the fingers. So if we do up, down a little, up, down, 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 we can play it faster, easier, but we have to be relaxed all over, especially in the elbow. And you know, of course, we have to practice it very slowly, because in the fast tempo it has to be automatic. You cannot think, we don't have time to think about it. But there is a risk that when we use this elbow too much, there is no legato. There is an accent on every first note. So we have to find the golden middle, how we call it in Polish. Well, I don't know how it is in English, but we have to find the way to use the wrist, but at the same time to have legato. Okay, now the structure. The structure is quite easy, actually. This is built A, B, A prime, and Coda. Now, the part A has consists of one musical period, and we know already, because I was telling you before, if you watch my other videos about other preludes, that the musical period consists of 2 phrases. The first one, ascendental one, I think it's the name, and the consequent. Anyway, the first and the second. The first phrase. The second phrase starts from the same, but goes higher and builds the energy and proceeds to part B. And here starts part B. So the first phrase builds the energy and then goes down, then again goes up, and then build the energy and proceeds to part B. That's how it is. Once again. Second phrase. Oh my god, sorry, I have to play second phrase again. So, you know what happened now, by the way? I got tensed and I felt it, and then when you get tensed, you get stuck and you can't really play it well. So now I focus on being relaxed, because you know it's very hard also when you have such a dramatic piece to stay relaxed. Okay, so the second phrase of part A. Okay, then part B. Part B also consists on two phrases. The first phrase is obsessively repeating one motif. This one. It's like somebody is trying to say something all the time, repeatedly, all the time the same, all the time the same, all the time the same. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. And it many times, just listen. From here. And forte fortissimo, so extremely aggressive. And then the second phrase. The second phrase tries to reach the climax. Tries is a good expression, because first time the phrase will not succeed. Only the second time needs more time, but then reach the huge dramatic climax, which is one of the most difficult part here for the right hand, because right hand has chords, and you will see it. And after this climax, we go back to part A. So to the beginning of the piece. So let's listen to the second phrase of part B, building the climax. We go up, didn't succeed, again. Climax! And part A again. So now part B in its entirety. Two phrases. Obsessively repeated motif, and then the climax. And now part A. Part A, the first phrase of part A is exactly the same like at the beginning. The second phrase seems to be the same, but it's a little different at the end, because it precedes us and then it brings us to the moment when the right hand will be left alone. First, left hand will just play a few chords on one and then leave the right hand. Right hand stays completely alone, and after finally right hand after some time stays on one note. Then for the first time in the prelude, left hand has this problem, as if, well, it was not already difficult. We still have this technique in the left hand. Yes, so we have to practice left hand as well. And this is important moment, because after this left hand, the coda starts. The coda, which has its own construction. I will talk about it. So let's listen to part A prime. Second phrase. Left hand, right hand on. Okay, and now the coda. Coda it's so charming. Coda has its own construction. It is also a musical period. Let's listen. First phrase. Second phrase. Like a question and answer. Again, question. the last statement. Now we will have 4 like bells. 4 bells. Well, there is a diminuendo, so each bell is a little more silent. And after every bell there will be like a little bit of the first theme. Seems like, well, maybe somebody who just got killed is lying, but some, is still having some kind of movement, a little movement, even if it's dead, but still some movement. Or this first theme is dead already, but it has some kind of movement. It's trying to be alive but cannot. And at the end we have 2 very brutal, aggressive octaves that ends the whole prelude. So let's listen to the end, the statement, the last statement. And this is the end. So I hope it is clear, and now let me play it once more. Part B. Coda! Oh, thank you very much. And I hope to see you in my next videos. Now we are halfway through. 12 preludes already done. We need to analyze the next 12 etudes, preludes. Oh God, this is what happens with the pianist after playing this prelude a few times in a row, The brain stops working. Anyway, enjoy your evening and see you again. Bye bye.